There we go. Howdy, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Insert Title here. I am your host, Raul Reeds. Today, I have a mixed bag of guests. There's no correlation between any of them, besides we're all Twitter mutuals. We're going to go around the screen, top to bottom. Introduce yourselves. Let us know a little bit about yourself and your current release that you would like to share with the audience today. ASMR. Let's go.
Is that... Do I get to get mine first? Oh, great. I'm first. Okay. Yeah, it starts with an A, so why not? All right. I'm Azure. My current release is Rebirth, Zodiac Book 1. I guess I'm a accidental romantasy writer. Also Final Fantasy writer. That kind of happened. A lot of people assume that it's a lot like Final Fantasy, which I don't blame them because it does, have the gunblade on it. So I did have to bring that with me everywhere. So shy off now.
Yeah,
go.
Go ahead.
Next.
Who's next?
Wait, am I next?
Yes, I don't know.
Guys,
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Nick, or NJ Alexander. I am a fantasy writer, and my recent release is called Fogbound. It's right here, and it came out last October.
Go ahead, Steven.
All right. Hopefully that dog will stop barking. It's I don't know. Okay. Anyway, I'm Steven Roy. I'm a writer here in Los Angeles. I'm currently working for Toy Studios US, doing some various stuff for them. If you don't know them, they do Dragon Ball Z and One Piece and all that stuff. So they have a movie that's completing like around March. I worked on that film and like I might get a writing credit on that. We'll see how that shakes out. The book I'm here today to talk to you about is Black Redneck versus Space Zombies, which is like the most B-movie premise I could come up with, but I tried to play it very straight with like real heartfelt characters. And, like my writing runs the gamut. I'll like dip into YA all the way to like super horror stuff. And that's me.
Yeah, dear.
Okay. I'm Jamie, out villain leaning on pretty much all of my social medias. I write urban fantasy, fantasy romance, dark romantic fantasy, and I'm currently working on a gothic horror. We'll see if it actually stays that way. And my most recent release was Bound to the Fate of Kings, which is a dark romantic fantasy retelling of Shakespeare's Macbeth as told from the point of view of one of the witches.
I'm Zach Rosenberg. I am a writer living in Florida who is also a lawyer. I prefer being a writer. And I am a horror, science fiction, and fantasy writer. My debuts were up this year. One is a horror western called The Hunger's as Old as This Land. And my most recent one, which came out a few months ago, is a Jewish cosmic detective noir novel called The Long Shalom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. While I was writing my notes, I was like, The Long Shalom. I was like, okay. Love that. Okay. So I have an icebreaker for you guys, and everyone can answer this. Whoever wants to go first, you can go first. 1, what is one trope you love adding to your stories? 2, what is one trope you avoid like the plague?
Kidnapping and miscommunication.
Wait, which one's which?
I'll second Jamie for both of those. I think both of our books have some amount of kidnapping in them.
I don't know that I've managed to not add in kidnapping at some point.
Kidnapping is not a good basis for relationships, Jamie.
Miscommunication is such a terrible trope, though. Yeah, I agree.
It is.
What about you guys? What's one trope you love adding to your story, and what's one trope you avoid like a plague?
I never get tired of like Lone Wolf and Cub. Old grumpy man who doesn't want anything to do with the kid has to, deal with a kid and ends up falling in love and like maybe training the kid. I love that story over and over. I can't say I really hate any trope. I would warn people to be very weary of starting their story like with somebody waking up. That's
A dream sequence. I hate dream sequences as starters. I don't know if anybody hates that. Is that what you're trying to say? I hate
well,
that.
I mean, it's just like real boring. Like everybody wakes up, you know. I think it doesn't tell us a lot about the person except yes, they do sleep.
The Twilight
so-
situation. That's why. Because Edward doesn't sleep.
Yeah, but dream sequence, like to begin with, might be worse because then you're thinking, like
You don't
like,
know
wait,
what
I thought we were starting a story, but it's yeah.
exactly. Just like I hate prologues, but I know you're supposed to read them to kind of get like a little bit of backstory, but I can't stand them. What about you, Zach? Which is it okay if I call you Zach?
Absolutely.
All right, bet. What is one trope you love adding to your story, and what's one that you avoid like a plague?
Ooh, what's one I absolutely love adding to a story? Anything that's like, I'm trying to think here. Maybe it's the horror writer in me, but I love like the creepy, dark thing that is, that should not be, in a sense. Like, and I even love adding that in stuff like fantasy and science fiction. Like, I just love something dark and unexplainable. For things I do not like adding, probably the annoying tag-along kid is something I do not like. I do not care for.
It's like when they also kill the dog. I hate that's another trope I hate.
I'm not a huge fan of that one, honestly.
You're like, why you gotta kill the? Especially like it's always the first one to die. I'm like, you couldn't.
That's why I love like horror movies like Bad Moon or Lost Boys, where the dogs are the heroes.
What about you, Nick? And what is one trope you love adding to your story, and what's one that you avoid like a plague?
Maybe it's not really a trope, more of a character archetype, but I can't help but always add like the lovable, funny, kind of dumb best friend character to the main. I can't help it. That's in everything I write. As for tropes I don't like, I don't know. I'm going to echo Steve and kind of give a non-answer where I've never met a trope that I didn't like in certain situations. I feel like that's what tropes are there for, right? You take them and you put a spin on them. And I can't say, like, of course, there's versions of tropes that I've disliked, but then I see a different version of the same trope that I liked. So I can't say I hate any of them, that I'll avoid any of them, because it really depends on how you use them. And by the way, Raul, I will not take offense to you saying you don't like prologues, by the way. I mean, I will not take offense.
I read yours. I read it.
My prologue
I don't know.
has
Raul.
eyeball gouging in it. So you're really missing out if you don't read it.
Yeah. So for everybody listening, it's a known fact. Well, if you knew me since 2021 when I started being part of the booktube community, I hate fantasy books, but I picked up Nick's book, and I think your book, seriously, one second.
Oh,
Man, leave me on a
you killed
cliffhanger
him.
here. Nick's book is
I'm back. No, so your book, I feel like rekindled my interest in fantasy books, and I'm so excited to finish it. You're really good at hooking people. I was reading the first. Oops, no, my bad. I was reading the first chapter, and something happens, and I'm like, wait, why did that happen? And I just read another chapter, and I was like, wait, it's actually pretty good. And you make it so easy to like unfollow it. A lot of people don't do that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. And I'm going to write down the quote. Raul reads, "It's actually pretty good." I'm going to write that down. I'm going to use that in my promo material. Watch for that in the next few days.
It's all right.
It's all right. But thank you, Raul. That makes me happy to hear that it's rekindled your loving of fantasy books. I mean, it is definitely a fantasy book through and through.
It's definitely a
but
fantasy.
I just feel like I've added some things that maybe someone who's not used to fantasy could latch onto. So that may be why.
Yeah, there's maybe I'm just a scaredy cat. Maybe I'm a pussy. But I was like, some things in the beginning, I was like, okay, that's kind of creepy. Like, why is that happening?
I can see that. I can see that happening. The first chapter could be a little creepy. I could see it. I'm also a bit of a weenie, so I can see where you're coming from there. Yeah.
But yes, guys, we're gonna what is it? Dig deeper later on, but first go Rebirth. We're here to talk about Rebirth.
Oh.
So you just dropped that on July,
Yeah.
but you're about to drop a second one
Yep.
in November. That's
In 2 days.
crazy.
2
Yes,
days.
in 2 days.
2
Whoa.
2 days. Dream Taker drops in 2 days.
Birth is
Whoa.
about to be rebirth, no pun intended.
I-
Are these the first releases with our friends at Shadow Spark Publishing?
It is.
really?
So Rebirth is I guess, the literal rebirth of the 13th Zodiac. I know that you have a copy, and I don't blame you if you didn't read it. But
You can go ahead, continue.
are you okay?
No, yes, I was drinking and you caught. I'm telling you.
Again?
By the way, guys, this is not the first time she's done this.
Nope.
Last time she was on the show, she made
Chase.
me spit my tea. She made this comment that was so out of the blue. I spit my drink and
You-
I felt it in
you
my
asked-
nose. It was everywhere. It was crazy. And you almost did it again. I was about to point that out, but you almost did it again.
You asked if what I did for imposter syndrome, and I said I had a jacuzzi tub. So, and I still have that jacuzzi tub. But yeah, so Rebirth is the literal rebirth of the 13th Zodiac. It rewritten, revised, less POVs, significantly less POVs. There were 20. Now there's 8 plus a secret one. It also is a lot prettier because I drew the cover.
It's a very pretty cover.
It is
And,
very pretty.
The first book is a romance. The second is not. It is definitely dips its toes into horror, and my villain has been labeled an unimaginable bastard by quite a few people. I'm very proud of him.
It gets dark.
It
gets dark.
does. It gets dark, and like Corvus, he's the goofy sidekick, I guess you would call him, is the only reason that it doesn't say dark.
What inspired this rebrand? Why did you change your author name?
So, my last name's Crouch. My original, my official last name is Crouch. My original last name was not Crouch, but there was a lot of people who would seek out to find out what my real first name was, and I got a little weirded out by people like, "Oh, hey," and I'm like, "No." So I prefer being called as online. So this just makes me more comfortable, and there's less chance for people to like track me down. Although you can find me on 14. Yeah, but I chose to re-release and rebrand because there was a lot of feedback that people had issues with the amount of POVs and how it was put together, how it wasn't like strict normal book patterns. It used to be a comic book, so it kind of skipped around a lot. So I wanted to go back and do it the justice that it could, because I had written Dream Taker and it was so much better than the original. But then I couldn't go back. I didn't think I could go back and rewrite it, but Shadow Spark gave me the chance that I could. And
is this the 13th Zodiac?
It was.
Oh, okay. Because I put a note saying that you were currently going to revise it for a re-release. So this is the re-release.
Yep, this is the re-release.
Okay. I love that. That's a good rebrand. So it's second question, because I'm working with our Shadow Spark Publishing. So we will deep dive into both books later in the year during our partnership. So I'm very excited. That's why I didn't want to fully dive into it, because I feel like we would waste the whole episode, like a future episode that we can have.
Right. Well, I can tell you that by the time that we probably talk, the third book will be out.
That's crazy. I want to ask you guys about that. And if you guys lose me, if I get a little glitchy, let me know so I can stop talking and then until I'm back. How do you guys do that? Especially when it's like back-to-back releases. How do you avoid burning yourself out?
So at least for me, the entire series was written 2 years ago. So before I took down 13th Zodiac, Dream Taker had come out, and it was out sort of, and the prequel was sort of out, and not very many people actually touched it. And my intention was to release Shattered Fate Book 3 shortly before I chose to take it down and redo everything. So I already have them written. I just had to rewrite them. So I did myself a disservice by doing a rapid release, but I wanted to get it all out within the year of each other.
I like that. But I'm very excited to fully dive into these books with you. It starts next year because we're already booked, right, for December, so it would be next year. But
Probably.
I'm very excited because we had this conversation in the DMs. If you can come back later, I was like, of course. I'm practically family with Shadow Sparks Publishing. We're practically homies, so I'm very excited. What's one thing you can tell a reader who has never picked up your book before to convince them to read your book? So it's like an elevator pitch. How would you pitch it to someone for the first time? You could do it in 3 words. You could do it in a full sentence. Whatever sells it to that reader.
Well, I usually like to do the Florida man method, I guess is what it is. So, well, I guess boy meets girl, girl's friends kidnap boy and drag him across the ocean to beat up his dad, and eventually they kill God. So
See, if that
it's very
doesn't
Final
convince you-
Fantasy.
if that doesn't convince you,
It's like chapter 1, find cat. Chapter 27, kill God.
I love that. So I do have a riddle for you guys. It's the first in 3, I think. What is always in front of you but cannot be seen? What is in front of you but cannot be seen?
The future.
Oh,
That's really good. Yes. I
Actually,
I was like, oh, this is gonna trip him up. But I'm glad you got it. Okay. Mr. Nick, Fogbound. You're also a first timer on the podcast.
yes.
For some reason, I bugged you so many times while you were writing this for you to drop it. And it's so funny that when you actually did drop it, I was like, you know what? From the amount of times that I bugged you to drop this book, I should read the book. So I'm glad you're on. I feel like it's a long time coming. How does it feel to have your book out into the world?
Oh man, a lot of different feelings. Well, one, I guess the obvious, it feels pretty sweet. Like it's pretty cool to have a book out in the world. I mean, it's funny that you say everybody here, there's not real relation to everybody here, but mine and Az's story is actually very similar. Not stories as in books, stories as in backgrounds are very similar. Where Fogbound is, it's hard to call it a re-release because it's so different than what it was. But I originally wrote, this is way back when I was a teenager, wrote the very first edition of what is now Fogbound and published it. And it was horrendous, awful, really, really fucking bad. Don't even think about it. So I pulled it some years ago, and basically, like I've been rewriting every single book in that series to actually something I can be proud of. I detailed it all in a post that I had on, I think some of you here may have read it a long time ago. It's called How I Fucked Up. And I detailed it all there. And so basically, I wrote 3 of the books in this series of eventual 4. And now I'm in the process of rewriting and relaunching them all. And Fogbound is the first one of them, just starting last month. Hopefully the second one will be out next year sometime.
I can say, Nick, that your I fucked up post, my 8-year-old just walked in. She's heard worse, I'm sure. But
As soon as you said it too.
I know, right? Your post actually inspired me to do the rewrite for Rebirth. So I can say that was part of it. Hi. Oh God, what has she got?
What is happening?
You promised me chaos and you're delivering it.
We're gonna
It's gonna happen.
Well, I'm happy that post served to be a little inspiration. That's the reason I wrote it. Tell people about the journey and how you can still recover from even fucking up as badly as I did.
It was a good read. That thread was a good read.
Thank you.
It deserved its own award. Do you remember what made you want to become a writer?
It's kind of a cliche answer, right? But I've always loved fantasy books, stemming all the way back to when I was very young. I think the first fantasy book I ever read was probably The Hobbit, way back when. So yeah, it's cliche to say that books like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings inspired me to be a writer, but they kind of did. This is why I say I never I don't dislike any tropes, because I'm kind of a trope myself. I'm a big old cliche.
I think it's always funny when horror authors always like direct you to Stephen King as like their influence. It's like the same thing for fantasy authors. They direct you to The Hobbit or
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings or like the Wheel of
I never
Time.
finished The
It's so
Hobbit.
funny.
I
I'm sorry.
didn't like The Hobbit. I
The
hated The Hobbit.
You know, like I
hated The
read.
Hobbit?
I think the Lord of the Rings. I read some of it as part of like a buddy read. It felt like the same scene for 30 pages. I was like,
Bro, I'm
let's
about to
get
log
the
off.
keys and let's go.
I was
Roll
made
with
to
it.
write 10. I was made to write a book report every 10 pages on The Hobbit. So
Oh.
my English
Oh,
teacher
God.
ruined Tolkien for me. So a lot of my inspiration came from anime. So
Oh, that's awful. A book report every 10 pages of any
every
book sounds like
10 pages.
torture.
And not just like words. I had to do like dioramas of the
Oh.
scenes. It was awful.
Oh,
Did
I
your
don't blame
teacher
you.
hate you? What is this? What,
Yeah, right?
Like that's punishment.
It
The guy was
awful.
really into The Hobbit.
Or yes, are they really into The Hobbit? That's crazy. Uh, but Nick, what is something that you learned during this release process for Fogbound that you will use during a future release?
Do we mean like the writing of the book, or do we mean during any single part of the release?
Any single part of the release.
Sure. I think actually the biggest thing I learned was probably through the ARC process, getting review copies to people. I think for next time, for anybody who's looking to send out ARCs for their books, I think the best way to do it would be go through a service like BookFunnel. It's not free, but I encountered a lot of issues with deliverability for my review copies. Like I was emailing them people myself, and people were messaging me that I kept going to spam. So I think I lost a lot of ARC opportunities that way. So next time, I think if I were to write a How I Fucked Up Part 2, this would be the central theme of how I wouldn't say I fucked it up. It still went kind of fine, but I think I lost a lot of opportunity that way. So that's my biggest takeaway from this current release cycle.
These How I Fucked It Up. You're doing God's work. You're helping out a future author.
This is how I'm going to get famous. My books,
Yes,
no,
yes.
it's going to be the series of How I Fucked Up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And trust me, I fuck up a lot. There's going to
These
be
are
a lot.
chapters at this point. Yeah, these are
Yeah.
chapters. Love it. Who is texting me? I thought I put myself on Do Not Disturb. I'm telling you, it's whenever I'm doing a stream, everybody wants to hit me up. During the day, my phone is drier than the Sahara Desert. I don't like it. And now everybody wants to talk to me. But Nick, before we move on,
Yeah.
what is the most valuable piece of information one of your fellow authors gave you during the creation and process, the release of Fogbound?
So this one's going to be kind of strange. Way back when, before Fogbound was even a thing, when I was doing the re-release, before it was even called Fogbound, and I was rewriting the book and all that, I thought about querying agents for it. So I wrote query letters, I wrote all that good stuff, and I had submitted my query letter to a Facebook group for a critique. And one of the comments, now this is actually positive thing about Facebook groups. One of the comments said, I'll never forget it. I wish I remember who it was, but I'll never forget the comment. They told me, your writing is beautiful, but your main character seems like they're just a leaf in the winds. They go with wherever the story needs them to go. They need more agency, and they need more motivation to do what they're doing. And I went, oh, that's pretty. It made me think a lot. And it actually inspired, I'm not going to call it another total rewrite of Fogbound, but it inspired a massive inclusion of different scenes into the book to make the main character have that agency, have that motivation, and all of that good stuff. And I'll say that was probably the best advice that I've received, because I think without that, Fogbound would not be nearly as good or as complete as it is today.
That's crazy. See, that was me. You're better than me. I would have thrown hands. I was like, what the fuck do you mean a leaf in the wind?
I'll give you a copy of the thing I wrote at 19, then you can feel better about yourself.
Yeah, because I mean, that's great advice, or that's a great criticism. But like, knowing me, I was like, what the fuck do you mean, bitch? Start throwing it. Because that's such, it's like when Katy Perry said, do you ever feel like a plastic bag blowing through the wind. I'm like, dude, that is some real shit.
It is real shit.
But I have another icebreaker for you guys. Go ahead and answer it, guys. What's the worst purchase you have made due to peer pressure?
Ooh.
I'll go first, guys. Apple Watch. I bought an Apple Watch. I don't. You see an Apple Watch on these hands?
Oh, no Apple Watch. Oh, I know. I bought this really shitty car like 10 years ago, where I was peer pressured by my uncle to buy, because my car, I was driving a currently shitty car, and then I needed a new car, but I ended up buying another shitty car, and it caused me a world of problems. So I'll say that one is what I regret.
What about you, Steven? What's the worst purchase you made due to peer pressure?
Oh man, like I really don't buy that too many things. I'm trying to think of where I've done something like. I will say this. And it turned out to be like a great experience. But about 10 years ago, like I had a long-term girlfriend. We were living together. She desperately wanted a cat. But I hate dander, right? I hate it. Like, and I knew her, like I'd be cleaning up a lot of dander. But she wanted a cat. So I was like, hey, how about a hairless cat? Problem solved. And she thought those were way, way too ugly. So I was like, man, I'm going to end up getting a cat. But then I found out about this breed called a Devon Rex, which has these mutations that they only have the undercoat of their fur. So they're real cute. They actually have like curly fur or whatever. But it's very expensive to get one, right? Had to get this cat from the Ukraine. But I was working in the medical field at the time, so I was like, she wants a cat. Gonna surprise her with the cutest non-shedding cat ever. So I had to go to the airport, pick him up. He had a little cat passport and everything. Showed he had all his shots. I pick him up. The cat super bonded to me, like right away. Like he didn't want much to do with the person who initially wanted the cat. So now, me and this woman are no longer together, but that cat is right over there.
I love it. That's awesome.
That cat.
So
Go ahead.
do you regret the cat or the girlfriend?
Ooh.
Neither. Both are very, very great. I can grab the cat for you. I can't get this.
I think we need to see the cat.
Yeah,
now
at
after all
this
that.
point, yeah.
We need to see the
That was a
cat.
good story.
See, this is a cat.
Aww.
Oh,
Yes.
She's kind of got the curly fur.
I love it.
we love the cat.
Man, no shedding.
Yeah.
Adorable.
We love the cat. That's all there is.
What's her name?
That shouldn't be it. That's not a worse purchase. That's a good purchase.
That's a good purchase.
That's a good purchase. Yeah.
It was unintentional. Very expensive purchase that I
How much was
didn't
it?
initially want to do. That I didn't want to do it.
Wait, that means you have to pay for like the airfare too, right? To transfer the cat from the Ukraine to the States. How much was that?
Oh, it's easy. They put them in a little crate, So that was like $250.
Oh, it's not that bad.
The cat was like, I mean, like, believe me, I would never, of my own accord, like be like, I'm dropping $1,000 on a cat.
Oh my god!
But I was like,
$1,000 in a car.
just at the time, I was like, I didn't have time to deal. I wanted to get her a cat, but not deal with the negative sides of the cat. So
That's crazy. Yeah, but I love the story. Thank you for sharing. What about you, Zach? What's the worst purchase you've made due to peer pressure besides that nice house behind you?
Ooh, this is a really hard question. I'm going to be really boring. It's nothing as exciting as a cat. probably got a laptop that didn't work great just because people were telling me how good it was at one point. I can't remember what it was, but the thing
Was it a Chromebook?
It wasn't a Chromebook. It
'Cause
was
they-
I can't remember what it was, but the thing was garbage.
I think when it comes to laptops, MacBook all the way. Anything else, it's not worth it. I wouldn't spend a penny on them.
Raul, we're going to fight this podcast, I think. First, you make fun of prologues. Now you're saying everything that's not a Mac. Dude, like, come on.
I've got you. Let's go, Nick. Let's punch him.
It's my time to
that
go.
way.
I gotta go. We're good. But yes, anybody else want to share any terrible, worst purchases?
So, I had a friend who got sucked into one of those multi-level marketing companies.
Oh,
Yeah. And so it's one of those things, you want to support your friend and stuff, but yeah.
I have so much Tupperware.
And it was
like
super popular clothing lines that were not as good as everybody made it out to be.
is this like Mary Kate?
Yeah, it starts with an L, that thing.
Due to legal purposes, we're joking.
My husband's mother sells Tupperware, so like she'll give us Tupperware from a couple years ago. Just she gives it to us. So I didn't purchase Tupperware. I just have so much Tupperware, and none of it has lids.
Why is that? Why is the lid always the first thing to go? That's crazy.
They just disappear.
We have so many bowls and like one lid for like 7 bowls. So
that poor lid is just hanging on to dear life. It's like I'm the last one standing. That is crazy. But I do want to play rapid fire questions with you. You ready? Well, I'm over here saying rapid fire, but I'm over here going slow as fuck. Right. Okay. When it comes to your writing, what do you prefer? Music or silence?
music.
Silence.
Plotter or Panther?
Silence.
Oh.
Whoop.
What?
Plotter or plant pit? I'm Planter? Planter.
Planter?
Plotter.
Plotter or
Plotter,
Panther?
Oh, Potter.
You guys like drinking coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Tea.
Tea.
Coffee.
When it comes to reading, ebook or physical?
Both.
Bit of both.
Both.
Yeah, I'm on my ebook era, so
See.
I agree with you guys. So shout out to if you guys have your books on Kindle Unlimited, shout out to you. Because your boy has that, and I like reading on my Kindle. All right, Mr. Zach, your debut novel, Hunger as Old as This Land. I did not memorize that. I'm reading it off of paper. Your boy can't remember anything to save his life. You also dropped The Long Shalom.
Yes, sir.
Back to back. Tell us a little bit about your books. Also, what's your writing schedule? Because that's crazy. Back to back.
Okay, yeah. My writing schedule is chaotic as it gets. Some days I will have really good writing days where I'll just advance on a book or a short story or some combination of those above. I will always set out with a goal of do a little of this, do a little of that, like edit something, write something, a little something new, a few hundred words, a few thousand words, something like that. I have no set schedule. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But it always proceeds as it goes. But yeah, the books, I'm really proud of them. I'm actually working on a sequel to Hunger's as Old as This Land now. So it has been, I think pretty successful, actually. It's set in the Old West about this little town in the shadow of these monster-haunted mountains. And Long Shalom, not to take up too much time, is set in the 1920s New York. It's like a hard-boiled detective story where the hero learns that people are going missing in New York who nobody is missing. And he basically puts a team together to find out what's going on and finds out there's something horrible at the bottom of it.
Which is crazy. 2 different kind of stories. That's crazy. Like,
Very different.
You're like, all right, switch it up on this one. But on Hunger as Old as This Land, if you could describe your main character to the audience in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
I would say that would be Esther Foxman. If I could pick 3 words, optimistic, resolute, and determined is kind of a synonym for that. But unyielding, I would say.
Someone below the dictionary. I don't know what that means, but that's a big word for Raul. If you can pick any director to adapt one of your books, which book would it be out of the two, and which director?
Um, that's a really fun question. Let me think. I would pick Hunger's As Old as This Land. I think might be a little more cinematic. And you know what? I think I would pick John Hillcoat as the director, just because he has done some incredibly dark revisionist. Like he did an incredibly dark and revisionist western, The Proposition. It's kind of like that cinematic style that I would love to see for that. And Hillcoat is just an incredible director in general. And yeah, I think that style would be pretty. Honestly, I think his style would be pretty amazing between that and The Road. He's got like this great Cormac McCarthy vibe that he has to him.
While we're on the question, if you can pick an actress or an actor in general to play your main character,
Ooh.
who would you pick?
Right now, let's see. Esther is Indigenous, so I would probably go with maybe Amber Midthunder or Devery Jacobs, whose work I'm a huge fan of. Amber Midthunder from Prey, and she's got that amazing action hero vibe. And Devery Jacobs is just incredible on Reservoir Dogs. Reservation Dogs.
I like those options. I just saw Prey earlier this year, and
It's so good.
the main character, the lead actress was amazing. Final question in your segment, Zachary. What is one of the biggest obstacles you have overcome regarding to your writing after releasing these two books?
After releasing the two of them, it's really honestly, it's kind of fun finding time to write with the day job. Honestly, balance sometimes, because you're balancing books and short stories. Like there's a bunch of places I really want to crack in regards to the short story market. A lot of different places I want to write, so it's all kind of a bunch of ideas kind of sticking together in a sense. So yeah, bouncing between can be a little tough sometimes.
I feel like finding time to do so many things, and not spreading yourself too thin.
Yes,
is something we're all trying to figure out. Like I burned out a couple times last year, and I was like, "How am I doing?" It's crazy.
I know that feeling.
It's terrible. I have another riddle for you guys. Feel free to think about it. Okay. I have branches, but no fruit. Trunk or leaves? What am I?
A family tree.
No.
Damn it.
You thought you had it. You thought you
I
had
thought
it.
I got you. I thought I had you.
A road? Like a road will branch?
So I have branches, but no fruit. Trunk or leaves?
A river.
A bank.
You got to think about it. It's like very. How did I describe it last time? It's like right in your nose, like on your nose. What is it? I have branches, but no fruit. Trunk or leaves? What am I? I'm a thing.
I'm going with bank.
The government.
Yeah, it's a bank.
Oh.
Your face when you're like, oh, okay. It's a bank.
Honestly, I think I heard that one
Great
before.
job, Zach. Good job.
I got it.
I can't take like full credit. I think I heard that one like a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a while back. Sam says everything Jamie writes, it's gold. That is true. That is true. You know what I like
agree
about
with
your
Sam.
writing? What I like about your writing, Jamie, it feels like episodes of a show. But like, I don't know if you guys saw last week's episode, but I did a little scramble word. Hopefully, you guys don't know the answers. We're just gonna do it really quick as a rapid fire. I'm gonna show you guys words. They're scrambled.
Oh god.
Let me know what the
Oh,
word
no.
is.
Oh no.
1, 2, 3, go.
Hold on, I'm careful.
What's
Snakes.
the word?
Snakes.
Snakes. Okay. What's the word?
Boost.
What?
Boost.
Boost.
No.
Boots.
No.
Boots. Boots.
Boots.
Boots. Yes. What's the word?
Glorhungred.
Longhorn.
Long. What's the word?
Sonos. I don't know.
Noses. No.
No.
Noose?
Nose.
Oh, no, that's
News.
News.
All right. This is the one that I thought was going to trip people up, and they got it right away. So hopefully you guys trip up a little bit. What's the word?
What? Mountain Dew. No.
It looks like it. That's what I thought too when I wrote it.
What the?
It said bike. It's a bike. Car.
It's a bike car. What is a bike
Bike-
car?
Like,
There's separate words, Nick.
Oh,
Wait, you can't put two words together. That's
They're
not
not two
fair.
words together. I'm saying that people would guess like random words. They're like car, bike, and it's clearly a long word.
what in the world?
I'll give you a hint. Zach, you should know this. Your story is a Western. What would you find in the West? Besides
oh, it's
Tumbleweed.
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 It's
Oh.
backwards. I just
backwards?
realized the word's backwards.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that one.
No, I knew I was gonna get you guys with that one. All right, Mr. Steven. Black redneck versus space zombies. First of all, tell us a little bit about the story. And if you can describe your main character in 3 words for us.
A little bit about the story. It's the main character is, of course, this black kid who was adopted by a white farming family in Picayune, Mississippi. And he grows up in like the rodeo hunting culture, and it turns out he's like the best rodeo marks person ever. He's really great. But as he gets older, becomes a young man, he finds out, like when he was originally adopted, like the guy who raised him, his father, the guy who became his father, actually like would tell people like he just like adopted him to have an extra farmhand, so of course like he leaves and kind of reinvents himself, and just leaves that like family behind, goes on to be an academic and a professional, like all stuff like this. When he's in his 30s, like he gets like the message that like the last remaining member of that family has died and he's inherited the farm, right? So he goes back to sell everything off to turn it into like, like it's a huge farm. He's going to turn it into a subdivision. So everybody in the town is like angry at him, but he doesn't care. Anyway, that's when like the worst alien in the world like crash lands into the farm and starts turning like the teenagers who were partying in the woods into space zombies. Now my main character, like the way he's living currently, he wouldn't be able to deal with this situation. But the skills he had prior, and like when people used to call him the black redneck, that guy just might be able to save the world. So he has to like, even though he's reinvented himself, he has to like revert back to like the horse riding, gun shooting person he was raised to be.
Okay. And so that leads me to my next question. The Elephant in the Metaphorical Room. The title. How did you come up with the title?
It, like I said, I was trying to do like B movie stuff. So I just went with that. Like, yeah. So
I love that it's in the synopsis that you just gave us, like space, zombies, black redneck. Was there any other titles that almost made the cut?
Not really. Like, we like the creature like is called the Devourer. So like we had thought about that, but you really didn't get like what the flavor of the story was.
You were trying to give them a taste before they actually.
Yeah.
Love that. Is there any particular era in media, TV, music, movies that inspired this book?
Oh, look, like when I was like a little kid, like growing up, like, my mom would put me in front of the TV on Sunday and there would be like these super pulpy, like monster movies playing, like, The Blob, Godzilla, and, but also like, things you've probably never heard of, like this movie called Gargoyles, not the Disney cartoon, not at all, but something else. And just things I shouldn't be watching as a little kid, like from like, like Hammer movies would come on. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Hammer movies, but like little kids shouldn't be watching Hammer movies. you know. Anyway, so like those movies have always like that was some of like the first stories I understood and came into contact with. So this is kind of like an homage to that, but it's got a character who, you know, um, is trying to move away from, you know, that kind of like culture and like the violence of it and like the way it treats animals, just everything, you know, like um and you know, he's got to go shoot stuff.
That's all you needed to say. We're shooting things. I love
Yeah.
that. If there's one song that you can appoint to the book as its theme song, like you know how movies have like that theme song that's created specifically for them. If you can pick one song that's already out in the world, what would that one song be?
I mean, like Old Town Road. I mean, he's got to go get on a horse and be a badass, you know, like so.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. All right, guys. So I have another riddle for you guys.
Lovely.
Okay, you guys ready? What has to be broken before you can use it?
A rule.
Glow sticks.
Oh, see, that would have been a good answer, but it's not. But it's not. What would it be? Did I lose? I know. I almost said Nick. I lost that.
Eggs. Is it eggs?
It's eggs. Yes.
Dang,
Okay.
Steve's good at these.
You're really good at these. See, Zach, why did you leave? I don't know how to go down. I'm panicking. Oh my god. Hold up. Let me see.
It's nice knowing him.
It was great. He said, I talked about my book. Let me chat. And I'm kidding, Zach. I'm kidding. As soon as you pop in, I promise I'll pop you back. Let me just figure out how to go down. He should be set. He's not back yet. But while we wait for Zach, why don't we do more riddles? Okay, let's see. So, if you guys didn't see last week's episode, I'm going to use the same ones just because it's funny. All right. if 2 is company and 3 is a crowd, what are 4 and 5?
9.
Yes. You're really good at these. You're really good at these.
He watched the last week's episode.
He
That's-
saw last
he's
week's
cheating.
episode.
Cheater.
No.
He's got Google open.
You right? It's like, okay, let's see. This one should be okay. This is a good one. You measure my life in hours and what's supposed to say, and I serve you by expiring. I'm quick when I'm thin and slow when I'm fat. The wind is my enemy. When am I?
Until that last sentence, I thought it was milk. Not
Oh,
gonna lie.
Okay, guys, I'm trying to figure out how to get down here.
Quick one.
Period. Got it. That's a sec. You're good. You good? Boop. Boop. We get you back.
Is
What
it
do you
my
guys think it is?
8-year-old? Because she's just, back and forth with his juice boxes.
Hey, kid.
Hello. Hiya. So, what do you guys think it is? I knew this one would trip you up.
All right. Life
Honey?
in hours. It's useful. Serve you by expiring. Useful when it dies or ends.
So you measure this thing's lifespan by hours, and once it's done serving you, it expires, right? It's quick when it's really skinny, but when it's really fat, it's slow. The wind is my enemy. What am I? Would be afraid of the wind?
A flame.
Flame. Fire.
Fire?
This is the right track. This is you. You are on the right track.
A candle.
Yes, it's a candle.
Oh.
Candle.
You know, when they're really skinny, they go down really quick. But when they're they're big, they take forever. I have one in my office. The bitch is still running. Did I turn it off? Yeah, I blew it off. You're good. But yeah,
Just ignore the smoke. It's okay.
I was like, it's a little bit. Somebody's talking in here. All right, Miss Jamie Jackson. First of all, welcome back. You're like a recurring guest. This is not your first rodeo by no means. You've been here multiple times. We've done night streams. We've done early morning streams.
Yes.
And you were recently a guest on the Bar Banter podcast. Really loved your episode. some things you were saying were facts. Facts. You were on there. You're doing great. And if you guys have not listened to the episode yet, go check it out. I'm gonna be on it Wednesday. Yes. Woo, 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 woo. Give it a look quick. I need an audience like in here, so I can just like a laugh track or something.
I was gonna say we need a laugh track, clap track, all that.
Or like when they go, ooh, it's all Disney Channel style. We need that. So, Miss Jamie Jackson, Adventures of a Villain-Leaning Humanoid. The series, it's on its 5th. I want to call it volume, but it's not a volume. It's the 5th book.
Mhm.
You dropped that in June.
Yep.
You dropped The Sparrow and the Oak Tree on Valentine's Day.
Yep.
And then you came back with the 3rd release of the year, Bound to the Fate of the Kings, which you just dropped on Halloween.
On Halloween.
How are you alive? How are you breathing? How are you surviving?
There's a lot of caffeine involved in this.
It's crazy the amount of books you've dropped this year.
Well, I mean, it helps that that I basically wrote the entire series for Adventures of a Villain-Leaning Humanoid, and I'm just doing scheduled releases. So I'm not writing the books in the series as well as the other books that I'm working on at the same time, at least.
Every time I see, I gone because I was away from Twitter or X, sorry, RIP.
It's always
still Twitter.
Yeah,
it's still Twitter to me. I was like,
just call it Twitter.
It's not gonna be X. Yeah, such an ugly name. So every time I would go on Twitter, I was like, I would see that you're dropping a book. I was like, damn, sorry. He's dropping another book.
It's just another Tuesday over here.
It's just a regular Tuesday. Yeah, it's another chipper Thursday. But tell us about first of all, the Bound to the Fate of Kings. For those who have not picked it up yet, can you please tell us a little bit about it and describe the sisters in 3 words?
The sisters in 3 words. Oh gosh. Okay. So Bound to the Fate of Kings is my dark romantic fantasy retelling of Shakespeare's Macbeth. And it's told from the point of view of one of the witches. I think it would be pronounced Isa, because it's Aisa. And that, yeah. And so let's see. I would say they're determined, a bit fanatical.
That's another big word for all.
Yeah, and powerful.
So the way that I'm reading your guys' book, so I don't know, I'm not gonna say the reason why I'm slow at reading, just because it's not for me, it's personal to somebody else. But my coworker went through a very traumatic experience. She's okay now. But that meant that I had to pick up extra shifts. You know what? I volunteered because, to give her some extra time to recover. And so I've been slow in reading everybody's books. But I'm doing this weird thing where I'm reading multiple. So a chapter here, a chapter there. So we do know that there's a king who's not a king involved.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Like you bring it up multiple times. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get it in here. So I'm gonna remember this. But I do want to talk about the first series that we talked about previously.
Mm-hmm.
Where are the audiobooks, Jamie? The people want to know. I've been bringing this up to you multiple times.
I know. So the intention was to record them myself, which, my husband did all the research, got me the mic and all that stuff. And he was planning on building me a little booth. So that way, I would have like a little sound studio that I could like pick up and move. And then we both had full-time jobs and we haven't had any time to move forward with actually getting on the project. And then there's the kids. So anytime we would be at home where we would have time to work on this, the kids are also here. So
I'm telling you, Jamie, you just have to borrow Ryan. And we'll just have to accept that Meg is a 40-year-old man.
Let him do it. Yeah, like the way he ran his strong, muscular hand through my hair, my curls.
I don't know if you've seen, Raul. If we did a first chapter reading for multiple books with my husband, and obviously Meg was one of them. and though I think I read Meg's parts, but Ryan sang songs. It was amazing.
I remember this live reading. It was like it wasn't weekly, was it?
We did it weekly for a little bit. We only had so
Yeah.
many books that people agreed to do it with, and then the kids just were in and out, in and out, in and out. So we want to bring it back, and I need to like poke Shadowspark to see if anybody is interested. So
I love Shadowspark. I was trying to partner up with a couple of presses, but honestly, I just wasn't clicking with a lot of them. And I was like, yo, let me just hit up Shadowspark, and just to see maybe if they want to extend it. And look at that, up till June, we're gonna be doing interviews with them. But Jamie, I was thinking about this. I don't know why, just randomly. The book series, would you ever consider putting them all like in one? Since they're
Like
very
an
small.
omnibus?
Yeah.
I'm hoping to do that after all 12 have released, but I was thinking about how large a 12 book omnibus would be, and then I was like,
It's a
maybe
big
I
one.
just need to
It's a
split
big
it into 2. So you get the first 6 here.
three.
Three. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah,
And I'll do the formatting for you. You know that.
yes, please.
Good idea.
Yeah, I basically cry every time I have to format something.
Out of the 3 that I read so far, Torment and Tarnish is my favorite. The Rat King, I think I feel like that one's your like you I don't know how can I describe it. Como se dice? You did that. That's all I can say. You did that. Yeah, it's what I think it's out of the 3 is my favorite so far. But not me losing my train of thoughts. Oh, here it is. Perfect. For those who have not picked up any of your books yet, Jamie, what would be that one book that you're like, start with this one?
Oh, gosh, because I like them all so much. I think it's really just going to depend on the reader and what they're looking for, because Adventures of the Villain Humanoid it's urban fantasy superheroes. So if they want something that's like Deadpool and Elle Woods from Legally Blonde had a baby, then that's what they're going to want to go for. But if they like fantasy romance, they're going to want to go for The Sparrow and the Oak Tree, since that has Princess Bride crossed with Romeo and Juliet vibes. And then if they want me to break them, they can go with Bound to the Fate of Kings.
I was gonna say, Jamie, if you're a reader and you want to feel like your heart has been run over by a Mack truck, please pick up Bound to the Fate of Kings.
I'm looking forward to that. I love crying when I read. Like I love feeling things when I read a book. Shout out to Jennifer Barnardini. She wrote this book called Fuck That Man? A what if book, and it's so good. It's about this man who he has like a friend who's like a piece of shit, but like at least we know he's a piece of shit. And our main character is a piece of shit, but like he pretends to be a nice guy, and he does all these like SA, if you know what I mean, and like really dark things. And during half of the book, it flips. So he wakes up, and everything that women go through, men go through. So it's like women get paid more, they're in the leadership roles, and men kind of like are considered second. What is it called? Second citizen. So it's like they would be like labeled overly emotional, and this man is just like having a mental breakdown because he's like, no, I like in real life, it's like men are in charge of blah, blah, blah. Very misogynistic. But the way that Jen, I was gonna call her Jennifer. The way Jen writes is so good. And Jamie, I feel like your writing is just like right there with hers. It's so good. So if you guys have not picked up her books yet, definitely go pick them out. My personal favorite, like I said, is Torment and Tarnish. So make sure to start the first book. That's the second book, so don't go to that one.
Yeah. Start with this one.
You're in Fury. I remember when I first read that, I was like, what the fuck? you promised me one thing and you were trying to scare me half of the way. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Why is this kind of scary? I was like, it's kind of creepy. But before I let you guys go, because it's not necessarily time yet, we're gonna go around the room and you guys are gonna pitch your current release to our audience and let them know why they should pick it up and recommend. Like, if you can do how Jamie just did it. If you like this kind of thing, this is the book you pick up.
Oh,
And
so
also,
I get to sit this one out, right?
Yes, you're good. You're good. She's like, I already did that. I'm good to go. But Jamie, you can answer the last question is where can my audience find you after everybody's done?
Okay.
All right. We're going to go from top to bottom. Jamie will close off the show.
Well, I already kind of pitched my book. So, but okay. So if you like Final Fantasy without the summons and the cactuars, you like the story of Final Fantasy, you probably would like Rebirth. Also, it is a little bit of a romantasy by accident. I didn't intend on writing one, but it kind of happened. And if you like things that get silly dark afterwards, everybody's back together, continue the series. Otherwise, you don't want to stop here before everything gets worse. I guess you can find me on pretty much anywhere under @Azure, except for on Twitter, it's @Azure13. Because if you just do @Azure, you're going to some weird person. I don't know who it is.
And this is also not the last time we'll be on screen together.
Oh, no.
Future dates, we have. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be great. All right, you can go ahead, Nick. Let the audience know where they can find you and go ahead and pitch us Fogbound.
All right. Fogbound is about a history teacher whose mind is controlled by a legendary hero who's already dead, and he is forced to enlist into the army and is now forced into a battle for both himself and his homeland. And if you like your classic epic fantasy, big sprawling adventures with a sometimes zany but very well-rounded cast of characters, then I think you will like Fogbound very much. You can find me on any of the various social medias, Twitter, X, Threads, Instagram, @Nick_A_writes. Same username, every social media, or at njalexander.com.
Excellent. All right, so I will pitch Hungers now, and I will say if you like Prey meets Red Dead Redemption, then I would say you should totally check it out. I would say both my stuff have humor, adventure, action, and fantasy and horror elements. And you can find me on Twitter at Zach Rose Writer.
All right. Yeah, I think I took y'all through the basic setup of the book. Like when I write, like for my personal stuff, I try to have as much fun as possible. So I think it's a fun novel. If you like stuff like Tremors and The Thing, and a little bit of Blob mixed in, and more actiony horror, like some Evil Dead stuff going on, but also there's a lot of found family in this, and it's generally going to leave you in a uplifted place. It's the book for you. Oh, you can find me at on Twitter, as long as that's a thing, at SM Roy.
You know how hard it was for me to find your name, and I was like, I'm trying to tag him. I was like, where is he at? I was like, why is it so hard to find him? But you're good. I will link everything down below, guys, just in case you guys struggle to find somebody. But Miss Jamie Jackson, where can my audience find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok under @VillainLeaning.
And this is actually also not the last time you'll see Jamie Jackson. So
Oh, no.
Oh,
He
wow, what
froze.
a cliffhanger.
That's quite the...
Wait, when am I coming back?
Oh,
No, wait. This is what I'm about to say. That's what I'm about to say. So, even though I have a partnership with Shadow Sparks Publishing, I do have open slots that I handpicked from reoccurring guests. And Jamie, you are one of them because you're a fan favorite. People love you.
Yes.
So this is not the last time you'll see Miss Jamie. She will be back because she'll have a book to promote. Best believe. She'll have another book to promote. All right, guys. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm gonna link everybody's book down below. I will be doing a giveaway. Can't tell you guys what it is yet because your boy is still planning it. I just lost track of time. And I'll see you guys next Sunday for a stream with the authors of October Screams. It may be November, but we're still screaming October. All right, guys. Have a nice day. Good night, and we'll see you guys next week.